The tall man's shadow fell across Eva as he placed a steel briefcase on the coffee table between them. With a swift click, he opened it, revealing stacks of crisp $100 bills. $2 million, David said, his voice smooth as silk. All yours, tonight. No questions asked. His expensive cologne filled the modest apartment she shared with Tom. All you have to do is walk away from this experiment called marriage. Eva's heart pounded against her ribs. $2 million. More money than she'd ever dreamed of having. Money that could change her life forever, erase her student debts, and provide the security she'd never known growing up in Pinewood Village. The abused girl from the back country who'd always gone to bed hungry could finally feel safe. She felt the weight of her wedding ring, simple and inexpensive, on her finger. Tom had given it to her just 8 months ago, promising love she'd never believed possible. David's eyes narrowed as he studied her. You can't seriously be considering staying with him? A security guard. Look around you. He gestured dismissively at their small apartment. Is this really the life you want? The life you deserve after everything you've endured? Eva stood up, her legs surprisingly steady. I think you should leave. Don't be a fool, David snapped, his charming facade cracking slightly. Tom can never give you what I can. Security. Luxury. A real future. A strange calm settled over Eva as pieces of her past flashed before her eyes. Her stepmother's cruel hands, the villagers' mocking laughter, the hunger, the fear, the desperate escape to the city. Then Tom's gentle smile the day they met, his patient understanding when nightmares woke her screaming, his unwavering belief in her when no one else had ever believed. You're right about one thing, Eva said quietly. Tom can't give me what you can. He can't give me millions of dollars or mansions or sports cars. She took a deep breath. But you can never give me what he does either. And what's that? David scoffed. The certainty that I am loved for who I am, not what I can be bought for. Eva pointed to the door. Please leave. Now. The briefcase clicked shut with a decisive snap. You'll regret this, David warned, his handsome face twisted with anger. When you're still struggling to make ends meet, when you're still haunted by your pathetic past, you'll wish you'd taken my offer. I've made my choice, Eva replied, surprised by the strength in her voice. As the door closed behind him, Eva sank onto the sofa, her hands trembling. She'd just turned down more money than most people see in a lifetime. For love. For integrity. For the wounded girl from Pinewood who had finally found her worth wasn't measured in dollars. The memory of Pinewood Village still haunted Eva's dreams. 8 years had passed since she'd fled, but sometimes she would wake in the night, convinced she was back in that small attic room with the leaking roof and the constant scent of mildew. 17-year-old Eva huddled under her thin blanket as rain hammered against the roof. Water dripped steadily into the collection of mismatched containers she had strategically placed across the attic floor. The calendar on her wall was marked with red circles, 218 days until graduation, 218 days until she could leave Pinewood forever. The door creaked open, and her stepmother Martha's silhouette appeared against the dim hallway light. Still awake, are you? Martha's voice carried the slight slur that indicated she'd been drinking again. Ungrateful girl. Your father's been gone 4 years, and I'm still stuck with you. Eva remained perfectly still, having learned long ago that responding only made these encounters worse. Martha swayed slightly, then tossed something onto the floor near Eva's mattress. School called. Teacher says you're applying for college scholarships. Martha laughed. Who do you think you are? No one from Pinewood gets out, especially not worthless charity cases. The object she'd thrown was Eva's scholarship application, now crumpled and stained with what smelled like wine. Your father filled your head with nonsense. Education. Dreams. Martha spat the words. Look where his dreams got him, 6 feet underground with nothing to show for it. Eva bit her tongue until she tasted blood, focused on the steady drip of rainwater into a metal pot. Count the drops. Don't cry. Don't speak. She'll leave soon. You think you're smarter than the rest of us. Martha continued, leaning against the doorframe. Town knows what you are. Pastor Wilson's wife said she caught you stealing from the donation box. That wasn't true, Eva whispered before she could stop herself. Mrs. Wilson had accused her after finding Eva counting the church donations, a task Pastor Wilson himself had assigned her. Martha's eyes narrowed dangerously. Calling me a liar in my own house. After all I've done for you. What followed was painfully familiar, the stream of verbal abuse, the itemized list of all Eva had cost her stepmother over the years, the threats of what would happen if Eva didn't start contributing properly to the household. When Martha finally left, slamming the door so hard that new leaks formed in the ceiling, Eva carefully retrieved her scholarship application. In the weak light of her flashlight, she gently smoothed the crumpled paper, wiping away the wine stains as best she could. Beneath her mattress lay a small wooden box, her father's last gift before pneumonia took him. Inside was a photograph of him holding her as a baby, her mother's simple silver necklace, and some money she saved from odd jobs around town that Martha didn't know about. "I'm getting out," Eva whispered to the photograph. "I promise, Dad." The next morning, with eyes burning from lack of sleep, Eva left early to avoid Martha. The muddy path to school stretched before her, and the familiar dread settled in her stomach as she approached the village center. "Hey, charity case." The voice belonged to Rachel Wilson, the pastor's daughter and Eva's primary tormentor since 3rd grade. "Mom says your stepmother was complaining about you again. Says you're getting too big for your britches." Rachel and her friends blocked the path ahead, their expensive rain boots stark contrast to Eva's duct tape sneakers. Eva quickened her pace, head down, trying to move past Rachel and her friends without confrontation. But Rachel had other plans. "I'm talking to you," Rachel said, stepping directly into Eva's path. "What's in the bag?" "More hand-me-downs from the church donation box." Eva clutched her backpack tighter. Inside was her repaired scholarship application and a letter of recommendation from Mr. Bennett, her English teacher, the only adult in Pinewood who seemed to believe in her potential. "Please let me pass," Eva said quietly. "I'll be late for class." "Oh, wouldn't want to ruin your perfect attendance record," Rachel mocked, looking to her friends for approval. "As if grades will get you anywhere from Pinewood." Eva tried to step around them, but one of Rachel's friends stuck out a foot. Eva stumbled, catching herself just before hitting the muddy ground. "Oops," the girl said with false sweetness as the others laughed. Something inside Eva, something that had been building for years, finally snapped. She straightened up, looking Rachel directly in the eyes. "Your cruelty doesn't make you important," Eva said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "It just makes you small." Rachel's smug expression faltered. For the first time, Eva didn't see the untouchable popular girl, but someone equally trapped in Pinewood's expectations. "You think you're better than us because you get good grades." Rachel recovered quickly. "Everyone knows what happened to your mother. Running off with that trucker, abandoning her family. Apple doesn't fall far from the tree, does it?" The words hit their mark. Eva's mother had left when she was 3, not with a trucker as village gossip claimed, but to escape Martha's brother, who had made her life unbearable after she married into the family. Eva's father had never spoken ill of her mother, had only said sometimes people had to leave to survive. Eva understood that now more than ever. "At least my mother made a choice," Eva replied. "What's your excuse for being exactly who your mother wants you to be?" Rachel's face flushed with anger. She grabbed Eva's backpack, yanking it from her grip and tossing it toward the rain-swollen creek that ran alongside the path. Eva lunged for it, but too late, the backpack landed with a splash in the rushing water, quickly swept downstream. "No!" Eva cried, watching months of work disappear in seconds. Her application, Mr. Bennett's letter, her school books, gone. "Oops," Rachel said again, but there was something uncomfortable in her expression now. Perhaps she hadn't meant things to go this far. Eva didn't waste time on tears or confrontation. She ran alongside the creek, desperately trying to spot her backpack in the churning water. Half a mile downstream, she found it caught on a fallen branch, soaked through, most of the contents ruined. She was an hour late to school, dripping wet and clutching the sopping remains of her papers. Mr. Bennett took one look at her and ushered her into the empty classroom. "What happened?" he asked, handing her a towel from the gym. When Eva explained, Mr. Bennett's kind face hardened with anger. "This has gone too far. I'll speak with Principal Dawson and Pastor Wilson." "No," Eva said quickly. "Please don't. It'll only make things worse." Mr. Bennett studied her for a long moment. "Eva, sometimes adults need to stand up for what's right." "In Pinewood," Eva gave a bitter laugh. Rachel's family owns half the town. Martha works for her mother. If you make trouble for them, I'm the one who'll pay for it at home. Understanding dawned in his eyes. How bad is it, Eva? At home? The simple question, asked with genuine concern, nearly broke her. For 4 years, no one had asked. No one had wanted to know. I'll be 18 in 5 months, Eva said instead of answering directly. I just need to make it until then. Mr. Bennet reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a fresh scholarship application. I'll write another recommendation letter today. We'll get this submitted by the end of the week. Eva looked at the form, a lifeline to a future she desperately wanted to believe in. Thank you. You're not alone, Eva, Mr. Bennet said firmly. And you're worth fighting for, even if you don't believe it yet. Those words sustained her through the day, even as whispers followed her through the hallways. Even as Martha's fury over her wet clothes and ruined textbooks resulted in Eva being locked out of the house that night, forced to sleep in the garden shed. The scholarship rejection letter arrived on a Tuesday. Eva had checked the mailbox before Martha could get to it, her heart racing when she spotted the envelope from Westlake University. The single page inside contained just 3 sentences that shattered her carefully constructed plans. We regret to inform you that your application was not selected for this year's scholarship program. The committee received many qualified applications. We wish you success in your future endeavors. Eva read it 3 times, standing motionless beside the rural mailbox. All the late nights studying by flashlight, the extra assignments, maintaining perfect grades despite everything, none of it had mattered. The scholarship had been her only viable path out of Pinewood. She was still standing there when Mr. Bennet's car pulled up alongside her. He rolled down his window, his expression brightening when he spotted the university envelope. Is that what I think it is? Good news. Eva wordlessly handed him the letter. As he read it, his face fell. Eva, I'm so sorry, but this isn't the end. There are other scholarships, other schools. Application deadlines for this year have passed, Eva said flatly. I checked. Mr. Bennet leaned out his window. Then we'll prepare for next year. You can stay with my sister in Greenville after graduation, get a job there while we work on applications for the following term. A small flame of hope flickered in Eva's chest. You'd do that for me? Of course I would, Mr. Bennet said. You're the most promising student I've had in 15 years of teaching. But more importantly, you deserve a chance. For the first time in years, Eva felt someone believed in her. Someone was willing to help. Thank you, she whispered. I don't know what to say. Say you won't give up, Mr. Bennet replied with a gentle smile. Come by my house this weekend. Karen and I will help you make a new plan. Eva nodded, clutching the rejection letter as Mr. Bennet drove away. Even with this setback, she had something precious now, hope for an alternative path forward. That hope sustained her for exactly 3 more days. On Friday evening, Eva returned from her part-time job at the local diner to find Police Chief Walton's cruiser parked outside their house. Martha stood on the porch, arms crossed, a vindictive smile playing on her lips. There she is, Martha called as Eva approached cautiously. Ask her yourself. Chief Walton turned toward Eva, his expression grim. Eva, we need to talk about Mr. Bennet. Eva's blood ran cold. What about him? He's been arrested, Chief Walton said. There are allegations of inappropriate conduct with a student. That's impossible, Eva said immediately. He would never. The student who came forward described receiving special treatment, offers of housing with relatives, secret meetings, the chief continued. Sound familiar? Eva felt the ground tilt beneath her feet as she realized what was happening. Rachel Wilson stood slightly behind her mother at the edge of the porch, not meeting Eva's eyes. It's not true, Eva said, her voice rising. Mr. Bennet was only trying to help me with college applications. Martha snorted. College? A girl like you? Everyone knew something wasn't right. A grown man taking such an interest in a teenage girl. Mrs. Bennet has already confirmed her husband mentioned you specifically many times at home, Chief Walton added. We'll need your statement. Eva looked from face to face, Martha's smug satisfaction, Mrs. Wilson's righteous indignation, the chief's suspicion. And Rachel, still looking at the ground. Rachel, Eva said desperately. You know it's not true. Tell them. Rachel finally looked up, conflict evident in her eyes before her mother placed a hand on her shoulder. Rachel has done the right thing by supporting her friend who came forward, Mrs. Wilson said smoothly. Such accusations are very serious. Eva suddenly understood with crystal clarity. This was Pinewood's revenge for daring to think she could leave, for challenging the natural order. They would destroy Mr. Bennet, the only person who had tried to help her, and they would use her to do it. I need to get something from inside, Eva said numbly, pushing past Martha into the hide. She moved with quick, decisive movements. She grabbed her father's wooden box from beneath the mattress, stuffed a change of clothes into her school backpack, and took the emergency $20 Martha kept in the kitchen cookie jar. Then she slipped out the back door while the adults continued talking out front. By midnight, Eva was on a freight bus headed for Capital City, her few possessions clutched to her chest, her former life in Pinewood disappearing in the darkness behind her. She had no plan, no contacts, and barely enough money for a few days of food. Eva pressed her forehead against the cool window of the freight bus as dawn broke over the horizon, revealing the first glimpses of Capital City in the distance. Skyscrapers pierced the pink-orange sky, their windows catching the early morning light like thousands of tiny mirrors. The sight was both terrifying and exhilarating. She'd never seen buildings so tall, streets so wide, or so many people moving with purpose even at this early hour. Pinewood's entire population could fit inside one of those towers. The bus lurched to a stop at the central terminal, and the driver called out gruffly, "End of the line. Everybody off." Eva clutched her backpack tightly as she descended the bus steps, immediately overwhelmed by the noise, the crowds, the sheer enormity of the city. People brushed past her without a glance, everyone seemingly knowing exactly where they were going. A digital clock on a nearby bank building read 6:47 a.m. Eva had exactly $18.75 remaining, her father's wooden box, and not the faintest idea what to do next. First time in the city. A voice startled her. Eva turned to find an elderly woman with kind eyes standing beside her, leaning on a cane. "Is it that obvious?" Eva asked, trying to hide her discomfort. The woman chuckled. "You have that deer-in-headlights look I see on all the newcomers. Where are you headed, dear?" Eva hesitated. She couldn't admit she had nowhere to go. "I'm looking for work and a place to stay." The woman studied her for a moment, seeming to read between the lines. "There's a women's shelter on Maple Street. It's clean, safe, and they help with job placement." She reached into her purse and withdrew a business card. "My daughter runs it. Tell Lisa that Marlene sent you." Eva took the card with trembling fingers. Capital City Women's Resource Center, it read, with an address and phone number. "Thank you," she said. After the cruelty of Pinewood, the small kindness from a stranger felt almost foreign. "The city can be hard on young women alone," Marlene said gently. "But it can also offer opportunities you'd never find elsewhere." She patted Eva's arm. "Be smart, be safe, and don't be too proud to ask for help." With that, Marlene merged back into the crowd, leaving Eva clutching the card like a lifeline. It took 3 bus transfers and nearly 2 hours of walking, but Eva finally located the Women's Resource Center, a converted brownstone with a small, discreet sign by the door. She hesitated on the sidewalk, her pride warring with her practical needs. In Pinewood, accepting charity meant enduring public humiliation and implied obligations. But this wasn't Pinewood. Taking a deep breath, Eva climbed the steps and pressed the buzzer. A woman in her 40s with short adze hair opened the door. Her expression was businesslike but not unkind. "Can I help you?" "Marlene sent me," Eva said, holding out the card. "She said to ask for Lisa." The woman's face softened immediately. "Mom's always sending us strays." She opened the door wider. "I'm Lisa. Come on in." The center was simple but clean, with a common area where several women sat reading or talking quietly. The scent of coffee and something baking filled the air. "How old are you?" Lisa asked as she led Eva to a small office. 18, Eva lied smoothly, having practiced this answer on the bus. At 17 and a half, she was close enough that no one would question it, and she couldn't risk being sent back to Pinewood as a minor. Lisa gave her a look that suggested she wasn't entirely convinced but didn't press the issue. "We have some intake forms to fill out." Legal name, emergency contacts, any medical conditions we should know about. Eva hesitated. I don't have any emergency contacts. The reality of her situation suddenly hit her full force. She was completely alone in a city of millions. Something in her expression must have communicated her distress, because Lisa's professional demeanor softened further. Let's start with the basics, she said, sliding a form across the desk. Legal name, any identification you have, and we'll work from there. By midday, Eva had been assigned a small room shared with another resident named Jasmine, a 23-year-old nursing student who had fled an abusive relationship. The room was barely larger than a closet, with twin beds on opposite walls and a shared dresser, but to Eva, it felt like a palace, a space where no one would berate her, where she could sleep without fear. Dinner's at 6, Jasmine explained as she showed Eva around. Curfew is at 10 unless you're working a night shift with approved documentation. Lisa can be strict about the rules, but she fights like hell for the women here. Eva set her backpack on the bed, removing her father's wooden box and placing it carefully under her pillow. Special? Jasmine asked, nodding toward the box. It's all I have left of my father, Eva said softly. Jasmine nodded, understanding without needing details. We all have something we couldn't leave behind. She showed Eva a small teddy bear tucked among her perfectly folded clothes. My grandmother gave me this when I was 5. It's been through everything with me. As evening approached, Eva sat at the communal dining table, surrounded by women of various ages and backgrounds. Some talked and laughed easily, others ate in guarded silence. All had stories of escape, of starting over. Lisa made announcements about job openings, free healthcare clinics, and education programs. Eva listened intently, mentally calculating how quickly she could find work, save money, and establish independence. You okay? Jasmine whispered beside her, noticing Eva's intense focus. I think I will be, Eva replied, surprising herself with how much she meant it. That night, in a strange bed in a strange city, Eva slept more peacefully than she had in years. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for the first time, it would also bring genuine possibilities. What Eva couldn't know was that among those possibilities was a chance encounter with a security guard named Tom, a man whose quiet kindness would change the course of her life. Eva's first week in Capital City passed in a blur of adjustments and firsts. First time using the subway. First time applying for jobs with her fake ID claiming she was 18. First time navigating the bewildering array of social services Lisa helped her access. On her 8th day at the shelter, Lisa called Eva into her office. I've got a job lead for you, she said, sliding a printed flyer across her desk. The Westfield Corporate Center needs a receptionist for their evening shift, 4 to midnight. Basic clerical work, answering phones, signing in visitors, that sort of thing. Eva studied the flyer. The pay was modest but more than she'd ever made at the diner in Pinewood. The building manager is an old friend, Lisa continued. He's willing to overlook your lack of experience if you're willing to learn. I am, Eva said quickly. I'm a fast learner. Lisa's expression softened slightly. I know you are. I've watched you this past week. Most girls who come here straight from small towns take longer to adjust. Eva thought about the countless hours she'd spent at Pinewood's library, reading about city life, studying maps, preparing herself for an escape she'd planned for years. I've always known I'd end up here someday, Eva replied simply. Interviews tomorrow at 2, Lisa said. Jasmine can help you put together something appropriate to wear. The next afternoon, Eva stood before the imposing glass facade of the Westfield Corporate Center, her heart pounding. She wore a borrowed navy blazer over her cleanest white shirt, and a skirt Jasmine had helped hem to a professional length. Her hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail, and she'd applied the minimal makeup that Lisa had provided from the center's donation closet. Taking a deep breath, Eva pushed through the revolving door into the vast marble lobby. A security desk stood in the center, manned by a broad-shouldered man with kind eyes who looked to be in his early 30s. Can I help you? He asked as Eva approached. I have an interview with Mr. Peterson about the evening receptionist position, Eva explained, trying to keep her voice steady. The guard consulted a computer screen. Ms. Winters. Eva nodded, still not fully used to the fake surname she'd given when registering at the shelter. Mr. Peterson is running a few minutes late. You can have a seat over there, he said, gesturing to a seating area. "I'm Tom, by the way. Tom Miller." "Eva," she replied, then hesitated, uncertain of the proper protocol. Tom smiled, sensing her nervousness. "First job interview in the city. That obvious?" Eva asked, echoing her words to Marlene days earlier. "You have that look," Tom said with a gentle smile. Determined but terrified. A surprising laugh escaped Eva. "Accurate assessment." "You'll do fine," Tom assured her. "Peterson's gruff but fair. Just be honest with him." Eva's smile faltered. Honesty was a luxury she couldn't afford, not about her age, her background, or her hasty departure from Pinewood. "As honest as I can be," she murmured. Something in her expression made Tom study her more closely. For a moment, Eva feared he could somehow see through her carefully constructed facade. "Sometimes," he said quietly, "the best policy is to be honest about who you are now, not who you were before." Before Eva could respond, the elevator dinged, and a stern-looking man in his 50s emerged. "Ms. Winters," he called, consulting a file in his hand. "That's me," Eva replied, gathering her courage. As she walked toward Mr. Peterson, Tom called after her, "Good luck, Eva." The interview was brief but intense. Mr. Peterson asked pointed questions about her experience, limited, her education, incomplete, and her availability, entirely open. When he inquired about references, Eva hesitated. "I'm new to the city," she admitted. "But Lisa Morgan at the Women's Resource Center can vouch for me." A flicker of recognition crossed Mr. Peterson's face at Lisa's name. "Morgan sent you. Why didn't you say so?" The interview shifted then, becoming less interrogation and more conversation. Mr. Peterson explained the duties, monitoring the reception desk during evening hours, maintaining the visitor log, answering calls, and basic security protocols. "The building's quiet after 6, he explained. "Most employees leave by 5:30. You'll mainly deal with cleaning staff, security, and occasional late workers. Think you can handle it?" "Yes, sir," Eva said firmly. "I'm responsible and I learn quickly." Mr. Peterson studied her for a long moment. "Lisa wouldn't have sent you if she didn't see something in you. The job's yours if you want it. Training starts tomorrow, 4 o'clock sharp." Eva blinked in surprise. "Thank you, Mr. Peterson. I won't let you down." "See that you don't," he replied gruffly. "Lisa's one of the few people in this city whose judgment I trust completely." As Eva left the interview, floating on a cloud of relief and disbelief, she passed Tom's security desk again. "How'd it go?" he asked, looking up from his monitor. "I got it," Eva said, unable to contain a smile. "I start tomorrow." "Congratulations," Tom said warmly. "Looks like we'll be seeing a lot of each other." "I work the same shift." For some reason, this news made Eva's smile widen. "I guess we will." "The night crew here is like a little family," Tom continued. "You'll fit right in." Family. The word stirred something both painful and hopeful in Eva's chest. She hadn't had a real family since her father died. "I'd like that," she said softly. As Eva stepped back into the afternoon sunlight, she felt a lightness she hadn't experienced in years. A job, a roof over her head, and perhaps, someday, people she could trust enough to call family. Eva's first evening at the Westfield Corporate Center reception desk passed in a whirlwind of training, learning the phone system, security protocols, visitor management software, and building layout. By midnight, her head was spinning with information, but a sense of accomplishment warmed her chest as she signed out. "How was the first night?" Tom asked as he escorted her to the lobby exit, part of the building's security protocol for late-night staff. "Overwhelming," Eva admitted. "But good. I think I can do this." "I know you can," Tom said with such simple confidence that Eva felt herself stand a little straighter. Over the next 2 weeks, Eva settled into her new routine. Days were spent at the Women's Resource Center, attending the mandatory life skills workshops Lisa ran for residents. Evenings were at Westfield, where she gradually mastered her responsibilities at the reception desk. The night crew, as Tom had promised, became something like family. There was Marta, the no-nonsense head of the cleaning staff with her crew of 5, Raj, the IT specialist who worked late most evenings, and old Frank, the building engineer who wandered the mechanical rooms muttering to himself. And of course, there was Tom, whose security desk faced Eva's reception station across the marble lobby. During quiet stretches, Tom would sometimes bring Eva coffee from the security office's superior machine, and they would talk. At first, Eva was guarded, deflecting personal questions with vague answers. But Tom never pushed, sharing his own stories instead, growing up in a middle-class suburb with 4 siblings, his time in the army, his passion for woodworking. "What about you?" he asked one quiet Thursday evening, about 3 weeks into Eva's employment. "Any hobbies? Things you love to do?" Eva hesitated, but later answered him, "I used to love to read," she finally said. "My dad would bring me books from the town library before he died." She smiled at the memory. He'd say, "Evie, books are tickets to worlds where no one can follow or stop you." Tom nodded. "Smart man, your father." "He was," Eva agreed softly. It felt strange but good to acknowledge her past, even in this small way. "The city library is only 3 blocks from here," Tom mentioned casually. "Open until 9 most nights. I could show you sometime if you want." Eva felt a flutter of something unfamiliar in her chest, not anxiety or fear, but something warmer. "I'd like that." The next evening, Tom waited for her after his shift ended at 11, even though Eva worked until midnight. "You didn't have to stay," she said, surprised to see him in the lobby as she gathered her things. "I know," he said simply, "but I figured you might want to see the library tomorrow before your shift. They have a special exhibition on first editions." Eva felt that strange flutter again. "That sounds nice." What began as a library visit evolved into regular patterns: coffee at the cafe across from Westfield before their shifts, occasional lunch in the park when their days aligned. Tom never pressed for details about Eva's past, and she never volunteered them. Instead, they talked about books, music, current events, and their daily observations of city life. One evening, about 2 months into their friendship, Eva was arranging the reception desk for the night when the elevator dinged and a striking woman in an expensive suit emerged. She looked to be in her early 50s, with elegantly styled silver hair and an air of unmistakable authority. "Good evening," Eva greeted her professionally. "May I help you?" The woman approached the desk, studying Eva with keen interest. "You must be the new evening receptionist Mr. Peterson mentioned. I'm Margaret Walker, CEO of Walker Industries. We occupy floors 30 through 35. Eva tried not to look intimidated. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Walker. I'm Eva Winters." "Mr. Peterson speaks highly of you," Mrs. Walker said, still examining Eva with that penetrating gaze. "Says you're one of the most capable receptionists we've had in years." "That's very kind of him," Eva replied, surprised and pleased by the compliment. Mrs. Walker glanced over at Tom's security desk, where he was deliberately focusing on his monitor, giving them privacy. "It's rare to find young people with genuine work ethic these days," Mrs. Walker continued. "Even rarer to find ones with both intelligence and manners." "Thank you, ma'am," Eva said, uncertain how to respond to such direct praise. "I'm hosting a corporate event next month," Mrs. Walker said abruptly. "We need additional staff for the evening, educated, presentable young people who can interact appropriately with executives and clients. The pay is excellent. Would you be interested?" Eva blinked in surprise. Yes, I would. Thank you for the opportunity." "Good." Mrs. Walker withdrew a business card from her purse. "Have Mr. Peterson adjust your schedule. My assistant will contact you with details." As Mrs. Walker strode toward the exit, she paused briefly at Tom's security desk, exchanging a few words Eva couldn't hear. Tom's expression remained professional, but Eva noticed a slight tension in his shoulders. Once Mrs. Walker had left, Tom approached the reception desk. "I see you've met the Empress," he said lightly, though something in his tone seemed off. "Is that what you call her?" "Among other things," Tom replied. "Margaret Walker owns half the businesses in this part of the city. Very powerful woman. She offered me work at some corporate event next month," Eva said. "Said the pay was excellent. Just be careful around her. Mrs. Walker is known for taking a special interest in promising young people, but her help always comes with strings attached." "What kind of strings?" Eva asked, puzzled by his reaction. Tom seemed to consider his words carefully. Let's just say she likes to shape people to fit her vision of what they should be, not necessarily what they want to be. Before Eva could ask more, the phone rang, a late delivery requiring access to one of the upper floors. By the time she'd handled it, the moment for questions had passed. That night, lying in her narrow bed at the shelter, Eva thought about Mrs. Walker's offer. The extra money would accelerate her savings plan, bringing her closer to her goal of her own apartment. But Tom's warning lingered in her mind, raising questions she couldn't answer. A week after meeting Mrs. Walker, Eva received an elegant envelope delivered to the reception desk. Inside was a formal invitation to meet with Mrs. Walker's personal assistant regarding the upcoming corporate event, along with a visitor's pass for Walker Industries' executive floor. "Looks important," Tom commented, noting the heavy cream stationery as he brought Eva her now customary evening coffee. "Mrs. Walker wants me to meet with her assistant about that event," Eva explained, still somewhat bemused by the formal approach. "I'm supposed to go up tomorrow morning before my shift." Tom nodded, his expression carefully neutral. "Walker Industries takes up the top 5 floors. The executive suite is on 35. Amazing views. Have you been up there?" Eva asked, curious about his tone. "Part of security orientation," Tom replied. "We have to know the layout of all floors in case of emergency." That night at the shelter, Eva mentioned the meeting to Jasmine as they prepared for bed. "Walker Industries." Jasmine's eyes widened. "Girl, do you know how exclusive that place is? My cousin's been trying to get an entry-level position there for 2 years. They say the benefits are amazing, and they even have tuition assistance programs." Eva paused in brushing her hair. "Tuition assistance?" "Full scholarships for promising employees," Jasmine confirmed. "My cousin says Mrs. Walker is big on education, especially for women in tech and business." Sleep eluded Eva that night as possibilities swirled in her mind. If she impressed Mrs. Walker at this event, could it lead to a full-time position? And if Walker Industries truly offered educational opportunities? The next morning, Eva took extra care with her appearance, wearing her best borrowed clothes and styling her hair in a neat bun. At precisely 10 o'clock, she presented herself at the Walker Industries reception area on the 35th floor. The difference between this reception and the building's main lobby was stark. Where Eva's domain was all practical functionality with basic corporate aesthetics, Walker Industries' reception area featured sleek modern furniture, original artwork, and floor-to-ceiling windows offering breathtaking views of the city. "Ms. Winters." A poised young woman approached. "I'm Sophia Chen, Mrs. Walker's executive assistant. Thank you for coming." Sophia led Eva through a series of glass-walled offices to a spacious conference room where several other young people were already seated around a polished table. "These are the other event assistants Mrs. Walker has selected," Sophia explained. "Please take a seat. Mrs. Walker will join us shortly." Eva sat beside a friendly-looking young man who introduced himself as Michael, a graduate student in business administration. Around the table were 5 others, all well-dressed, articulate, and clearly accustomed to corporate environments in ways Eva was not. When Margaret Walker entered the room, everyone instinctively straightened. She moved with deliberate confidence, her silver hair gleaming under the recessed lighting. "Thank you all for coming," Mrs. Walker began, her gaze sweeping the table before settling briefly on Eva. "The Walker Innovation Summit is our most significant corporate event of the year. Each of you has been personally selected because you demonstrate qualities Walker Industries values." For the next hour, Sophia detailed the event responsibilities while Mrs. Walker occasionally interjected with specific instructions. The summit would host over 300 technology executives, venture capitalists, and innovation leaders at the Grand Meridian Hotel's ballroom. The selected assistants would serve as greeters, guides, and general support staff. "This isn't merely serving drinks or checking codes," Mrs. Walker emphasized. "You'll be interacting with some of the most influential people in the technology sector. Impressions matter. Connections made at this event have launched careers." As the meeting concluded, Mrs. Walker addressed Eva directly. "Ms. Winters, a moment of your time, please." The other assistants filed out, leaving Eva alone with Mrs. Walker and Sophia. "I've received excellent reports about your work ethic from Mr. Peterson," Mrs. Walker began, taking a seat across from Eva. "He says you're punctual, efficient, and unflappable under pressure. "Thank you," Eva replied, surprised by the personal attention. "I appreciate the opportunity." Mrs. Walker studied her with that same penetrating gaze from their first meeting. "Your background is unusual. No college, limited work experience, yet you demonstrate capabilities beyond what your resume would suggest." Eva felt her pulse quicken. Had Mrs. Walker somehow discovered her real story? "Sometimes circumstances limit our opportunities," Eva said carefully. "But not our potential." A slight smile curved Mrs. Walker's lips. "Well said. Tell me, Ms. Winters, what are your ambitions? Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" The question caught Eva off guard. For so long, her only goal had been escape from Pinewood. Beyond basic survival and independence, she hadn't dared to dream. "I'd like to continue my education," Eva said after a moment. "Business administration, perhaps. And eventually, I'd like to work somewhere where I can make meaningful contributions, not just occupy a desk." "Admirable goals," Mrs. Walker nodded. "Walker Industries has a robust educational assistance program for promising employees. After the summit, we should discuss whether there might be a suitable position for you here." Eva tried to maintain her composure despite the surge of excitement. "I'd be very interested in that conversation." "Excellent." Mrs. Walker rose, signaling the end of their meeting. "Sophia will provide you with detailed information about the summit. I look forward to seeing how you perform." As Sophia escorted Eva back to the elevators, she offered a rare, genuine smile. "Mrs. Walker doesn't extend these opportunities often. She must see something special in you." Eva returned to the main lobby in a daze of possibilities and questions. Tom was at his security desk, and something in her expression made him look up sharply. "How was the meeting?" he asked when she approached. "Amazing," Eva admitted. Mrs. Walker hinted at a possible position with Walker Industries after the event. "And they have educational assistance programs." Tom's expression tightened almost imperceptibly. "Eva, that's great. Just remember what I said about strings attached." Eva felt a flicker of irritation. "What exactly are you implying?" Mrs. Walker seems to genuinely want to help promising young people. "I'm not implying anything," Tom said carefully. "Just suggesting you go in with eyes open." Mrs. Walker's generosity is legendary, but so is her expectation of loyalty and conformity. Eva wanted to press further, but the lobby doors opened, admitting a group of late working executives. By the time she'd finished checking them in, Tom had returned to his security rounds. That evening, as Eva processed visitor badges and answered calls, her mind kept returning to the possibilities Mrs. Walker had dangled before her. A real job with a prestigious company. Educational opportunities. A path to the future she'd dreamed about in Pinewood. Yet Tom's warning lingered, along with a nagging question: why would someone as powerful as Margaret Walker take such an interest in an uneducated girl from nowhere? The Walker Innovation Summit was scheduled for 3 weeks away, and Eva found herself swept into preparations alongside her regular reception duties. Sophia sent detailed information packets, schedules, and even arranged for all event assistants to be fitted for uniforms, sleek, professional attire far nicer than anything Eva had ever worn. "You seem excited," Tom commented one evening as he found Eva studying the summit materials during a quiet moment at the reception desk. "It's an amazing opportunity," Eva replied, unable to contain her enthusiasm. The networking alone could be life-changing. And Mrs. Walker practically promised to discuss a permanent position afterward. Tom nodded, his expression thoughtful. "Have you told Lisa about this?" "Not yet," Eva admitted. "I was waiting until after the event, in case nothing comes of it." "Maybe you should talk to her," Tom suggested. "Lisa knows the city, knows the players. She might have insights about Walker Industries." Eva glanced up sharply. "You really don't trust Mrs. Walker, do you?" "Why?" Tom sighed, running a hand through his short hair. "It's not that I don't trust her, exactly. Margaret Walker has done a lot of good in the city. Her foundation funds women's shelters, educational programs, tech incubators for underprivileged communities." "That sounds admirable," Eva pointed out. "It is," Tom acknowledged. "But she's also known for being ruthlessly strategic. Nothing she does is without purpose or benefit to her larger goals." "And what's wrong with that?" Eva challenged. Successful people usually are strategic. Tom studied her for a long moment. Just be careful about accepting gifts with terms you don't fully understand. Before Eva could press further, Tom's radio crackled with a security alert from another floor, sending him hurrying toward the elevators. That night at the shelter, Eva took Tom's advice and sought out Lisa in her office. Walker Industries. Lisa repeated when Eva explained the opportunity. That's quite a connection you've made. You know of them? Eva asked, noting the careful neutrality in Lisa's tone. Everyone in social services knows Margaret Walker, Lisa replied. Her foundation is one of our biggest supporters. This shelter receives significant funding from her. Eva's eyebrows rose in surprise. That's good, isn't it? Her philanthropy has helped countless women, Lisa acknowledged. But Margaret Walker is a complex figure. Brilliant, visionary, undeniably generous, but also someone who views the world as pieces on a chessboard. Tom said something similar, Eva murmured. Lisa's expression sharpened with interest. The security guard at Westfield. He knows Margaret Walker. He just said she has a reputation for helping promising young people, but that her help comes with strings attached, Eva explained. Lisa nodded slowly. That's an accurate assessment. Mrs. Walker has a talent for identifying potential in unexpected places. Over the years, she's mentored dozens of young women and men, helping them rise from disadvantaged backgrounds to significant positions. Many now work for her various companies or foundations. So what's the problem? Eva asked, increasingly confused by these veiled warnings. Lisa seemed to choose her words carefully. Margaret Walker believes deeply in her vision for how the world should work. Those she helps are expected to align with that vision. Some find the bargain worth it. Others. She trailed off. Others. Eva prompted. Let's just say not everyone thrives under her particular brand of mentorship, Lisa finished. Eva, I'm not telling you to turn down this opportunity. Just understand what you might be getting into. The conversation left Eva with more questions than answers, a feeling that intensified the following day when she arrived at her shift to find Tom in a tense conversation with a well-dressed man near the security desk. They fell silent as she approached. Eva! Tom greeted her, his voice carefully neutral. This is David Chun, Mrs. Walker's head of security. The man turned, revealing aristocratic features and penetrating dark eyes. He was perhaps in his mid-30s, impeccably dressed in what Eva now recognized as an expensive suit. Ms. Winters, David said smoothly, extending his hand. A pleasure to meet you. I've heard promising things. Eva shook his hand, noting his firm grip and the assessing way he studied her. Nice to meet you, Mr. Chin. David, please, he insisted with a charming smile. I was just discussing some security protocols for the summit with your colleague here. You'll be joining us as one of Mrs. Walker's selected assistants, I understand. That's right, Eva confirmed, acutely aware of Tom's tense posture beside her. Excellent. David's smile widened. Mrs. Walker has an eye for talent. I look forward to working with you. After David departed, Eva turned questioningly to Tom. What was that about? You looked like you were arguing. Just a professional disagreement about security jurisdictions, Tom said dismissively, though Eva didn't entirely believe him. Chen oversees all Walker Industries security. He occasionally thinks that extends to the entire building. The exchange lingered in Eva's mind throughout her shift. There were undercurrents here she didn't understand, tensions and connections between Tom, Mrs. Walker, and now this David Chun that seemed to revolve around her in ways she couldn't grasp. Her confusion only deepened the following week when she overheard a conversation between David and Sophia near the elevators as she was delivering some paperwork to a late working executive on the 28th floor. Background check complete. David was asking in a low voice. Everything Mrs. Walker requested, Sophia replied quietly. Foster care records, school transcripts from Pinewood, even the police report from the incident with her teacher. Eva froze, her blood turning to ice. They were talking about her. They knew about Pinewood, about Mr. Bennett. But how? She'd been so careful, had changed her last name, and had told no one the full truth. And Tom Miller? David asked. How much does he know? Unclear, Sophia replied. But Mrs. Walker thinks. They rounded the corner then, cutting off the rest of the conversation. Eva pressed herself against the wall, heart pounding, mind racing with implications. Walker Industries had investigated her thoroughly enough to uncover her real identity and past. Why? What possible interest could someone like Margaret Walker have in a nobody from Pinewood? And somehow Tom was involved. Tom, who had been kind and supportive, who had warned her about Mrs. Walker. Was his friendship genuine, or was he part of whatever game was being played? Eva completed her delivery with mechanical movements, her thoughts in turmoil. By the time she returned to the reception desk, she had composed herself outwardly while inwardly calculating her options. She could confront Tom, demand to know what he knew about her. She could quit the job, disappear into the vastness of the city before the Walker Innovation Summit. She could even return to Lisa, confess everything, and ask for help starting over somewhere new. But a lifetime of caution had taught Eva the value of information. Before making any move, she needed to understand what was happening and why. To be continued. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share with friends and loved ones. When Tom stopped by her desk later with her usual coffee, she accepted it with a smile that revealed nothing of her inner turmoil. "Looking forward to the summit?" he asked casually. "Very much," Eva replied, watching his face carefully. "It feels like it could be the beginning of something important." Tom's expression flickered with something, concern, guilt, before settling back into its usual friendly openness. "Just remember, Eva, not everything is what it seems in this city." "I'm learning that," she said quietly. "Trust me, I'm learning that very quickly." The morning of the Walker Innovation Summit arrived with unexpected news. Eva woke to an email from Sophia informing her that she had been reassigned from general event staff to Mrs. Walker's personal assistant team for the evening. "This is a significant promotion," Sophia wrote. "You'll be working directly with Mrs. Walker, accompanying her throughout the event and assisting with her meetings with key investors and partners. Please arrive 3 hours early for additional briefing." Eva stared at her phone screen, conflicting emotions warring within her. Professional excitement at this opportunity battled with growing suspicion about Mrs. Walker's unusual interest in her. The overheard conversation between David and Sophia had left her deeply unsettled, but she decided to proceed cautiously, gathering information before making any decisions. At the shelter, Jasmine whistled when Eva told her about the change in assignment. "Personal assistant team? That's huge," Jasmine said as she helped Eva prepare. "Margaret Walker only surrounds herself with people she's grooming for bigger things. Or people she wants to keep a close eye on," Eva murmured, thinking of David Chen's penetrating gaze. The Grand Meridian Hotel was among the city's most exclusive venues, its ballroom transformed into a futuristic showcase of Walker Industries' latest innovations. Eva arrived in her new uniform, a tailored charcoal suit with subtle Walker Industries insignia, and was immediately whisked into a briefing room where Sophia waited with 3 other assistants. "Eva! Perfect timing," Sophia said. "Let me introduce the team. This is Marcus, Alicia, and Jean. Everyone, Eva Winters, our newest addition." The others nodded politely, though Eva detected a slight wariness in their expressions. They were clearly wondering how a receptionist had landed such a coveted position. "Tonight is more than a technology showcase," Sophia continued, distributing tablets with detailed schedules. "It's a strategic networking event where Mrs. Walker will be meeting with potential investors and partners for several new ventures. Your job is to ensure these meetings proceed perfectly." The briefing continued with protocol instructions, meeting schedules, and background information on key attendees. Eva absorbed it all with the quick intelligence that had always been her greatest asset. As the ballroom began filling with guests, Eva was stationed near the main entrance alongside Sophia, greeting high-profile attendees and directing them to their designated areas. The opulence of the event was unlike anything she'd ever experienced. Champagne flowed freely, gourmet hors d'oeuvres circulated on silver trays, and cutting-edge technology demonstrations drew fascinated crowds throughout the space. "Mrs. Walker has arrived," Sophia murmured into her earpiece, and Eva looked up to see Margaret Walker making a characteristically dramatic entrance, flanked by executives and, Eva noted with surprise, David Chen, who scanned the room with professional vigilance while maintaining a pleasant smile. "Time to join her team," Sophia directed, and Eva followed her through the crowd toward Mrs. Walker. "Ah, Sophia! Excellent," Mrs. Walker said as they approached. And Eva, looking very professional. You'll be with me for the Nakamura meeting at 8 and the Venture Capital Roundtable at 9. Yes, Mrs. Walker, Eva replied, falling easily into the assistant role despite her inner reservations. The evening progressed with mechanical precision, Eva shadowing Mrs. Walker through a series of strategic conversations with technology leaders and investors. She took notes, fetched specific attendees when needed, and managed schedule adjustments with a competence that earned approving glances from both Sophia and Mrs. Walker. During a brief lull between meetings, David Chun appeared at Eva's elbow, offering a glass of sparkling water. Impressive work tonight, he said smoothly. Mrs. Walker rarely brings newcomers into her inner circle so quickly. You must have made quite an impression. Eva accepted the water with a carefully neutral smile. I'm just doing my job. Are you? David's dark eyes studied her with unsettling intensity. Tell me, Eva, what do you think of all this? He gestured toward the glittering crowd, the technology displays, the wealth and power concentrated in the ballroom. It's certainly different from Westfield's reception desk, Eva replied cautiously. David chuckled. And worlds away from Pinewood Village, I imagine. Eva's breath caught, but she maintained her composure. This was deliberate. He was letting her know that he knew, watching for her reaction. Most places would be, she said evenly, meeting his gaze without flinching. Something like admiration flickered in David's eyes. Mrs. Walker was right about you. Resilient. Adaptable. He leaned slightly closer. But are you ambitious enough for what she has in mind? Before Eva could respond, Mrs. Walker beckoned from across the room, and Eva excused herself, mind racing with implications. Whatever game was being played, the pieces were moving faster now. As she rejoined Mrs. Walker for the Venture Capital Roundtable, Eva was startled to see a familiar face among the security personnel stationed discreetly around the perimeter of the meeting room. Tom. He wore the hotel's security uniform rather than his usual Westfield attire, but it was unmistakably him. Their eyes met briefly across the room, and the complex emotion in his gaze, concern, warning, guilt, sent a chill down Eva's spine. Eva, Mrs. Walker said sharply, reclaiming her attention. Please distribute these briefing materials to our guests. Eva's world shifted dramatically that night at the Walker Innovation Summit when Tom pulled her into a quiet service corridor during a brief break in Mrs. Walker's meetings. I need to tell you the truth, he said urgently. All of it. Tonight. Before she could respond, they were interrupted by Sophia calling for Eva to return to Mrs. Walker's side. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of professional duties and mounting questions. After the summit concluded, Eva found Tom waiting outside, his expression resolute. Come with me, he said. There's someone you need to meet. Tom drove them to an elegant brownstone in the city's historic district. When the door opened, Eva froze in shock. Mr. Bennett. Her former teacher stood in the doorway, older but unmistakable. Hello, Eva. It's been a long time. Inside, seated in a comfortable living room, Eva finally learned the truth. I never faced charges, Mr. Bennett explained. Another student came forward with evidence that Rachel had fabricated the allegations under pressure from her mother. By then, you disappeared. I searched for you for months, he continued. When I couldn't find you, I reached out to an old college friend, Margaret Walker. Eva's eyes widened. Mrs. Walker knew about me? All along. Margaret and I grew up together in a town much like Pinewood, Mr. Bennett said. She understood immediately what you'd faced and offered resources to find you. Tom leaned forward. That's where I come in. I work for Walker Security, specializing in locating displaced young people. I was assigned to find you 6 months ago. You've been tracking me since I arrived in the city? Eva asked, stunned by the revelation. Not exactly, Tom replied. We lost your trail until you registered at the Women's Resource Center. Lisa is part of Mrs. Walker's network of contacts who look out for promising young people who've fallen through society's cracks. The job at Westfield? Eva asked, pieces falling into place. Arranged, Tom admitted. But everything that happened between us, our friendship, our conversations, that was real, Eva. I was supposed to just observe, report back. I wasn't supposed to care. But you did, Eva said softly. I did, Tom confirmed. Which is why I'm breaking protocol now. David Chun wants to recruit you into Walker Industries' corporate intelligence division. They specialize in identifying vulnerabilities in competing companies. He thinks your background makes you perfect for undercover work. And Mrs. Walker approved this? Eva asked. Margaret Walker never does anything with a single purpose, Mr. Bennett interjected. She wants to help you, yes. But she also sees your potential usefulness. Eva sat back, processing everything. So every opportunity, every coincidence since I arrived in Capital City was orchestrated, Tom finished. But that doesn't mean the choice isn't real now. Mrs. Walker is offering you a legitimate path into her organization. David has his agenda, but you don't have to follow it. What about you? Eva asked Tom directly. Where do you stand in all this? I resigned from Walker Security this morning, Tom said quietly. I can't be part of manipulating your life anymore, even with good intentions. 3 days later, Eva stood in Margaret Walker's office, facing the powerful woman who had been pulling strings behind the scenes. You've spoken with Thomas and James Bennett, Mrs. Walker said, not bothering with pretense. So you understand the situation. I understand that you've been orchestrating my life without my knowledge or consent, Eva replied evenly. Mrs. Walker raised an eyebrow. I provided opportunities. You proved your worth through your own merits. Why the elaborate scheme? Why not simply approach me directly? I needed to see who you truly are when no one is watching, Mrs. Walker replied. Character reveals itself in the dark, not under spotlights. Eva considered this. And what did you learn about my character? That you are exactly what James Bennett believed, extraordinarily resilient, intelligent, and principled. Mrs. Walker leaned forward. Which is why I'm offering you a choice now, with full transparency. She laid out 3 options: a position in Walker Industries' corporate division with full educational benefits, seed funding to start Eva's own business venture, or admission to the university of her choice with all expenses covered. No intelligence work. No corporate espionage. Eva asked skeptically. Unless that's your preference, Mrs. Walker replied with a slight smile. David Chun sees your potential differently than I do. Eva studied the woman who had orchestrated this elaborate intervention in her life. Why do this for me? The truth. Mrs. Walker's composed facade softened slightly. Because 40 years ago, I was you. Different villages, different abusers, but the same desperate need to escape, to become something more than what my circumstances dictated. Someone gave me a chance. I'm paying it forward. 1 week later, Eva sat in Tom's modest apartment, having made her decision. I'm not taking any of Mrs. Walker's offers, she told him. At least, not as presented. Tom looked surprised. You're turning down a full scholarship, the chance to start fresh. I'm negotiating my own terms, Eva clarified. Mrs. Walker respects strength. I've proposed establishing a foundation specifically for young people escaping situations like mine, with me directing it once I complete my education. And she agreed. With conditions, Eva smiled. I'll work part-time at Walker Industries while attending university. I'll learn the business from the inside. And I'll have autonomy in developing outreach programs for at-risk youth. Tom's expression filled with admiration. You're remarkable, you know that. I'm a survivor, Eva corrected him. But I'd like to be more than that now. She took his hand. Which brings me to my other decision. The warmth in Tom's eyes as he squeezed her hand told her everything she needed to know about their future together. 6 years later, Eva stood at a podium in Pinewood Village's renovated community center, addressing a room full of students and parents. The Pinewood Scholars Program is now accepting applications, she announced. Full scholarships for 10 students each year, with guaranteed internships at partner companies. In the back of the room, Tom watched proudly, their 2-year-old daughter asleep against his shoulder. Beside him sat Margaret Walker, now semi-retired but still a formidable presence. You've created something remarkable here, Mrs. Walker commented. Far more than I envisioned when we found you. That's the thing about controlling other people's destinies, Eva had once told her. Sometimes they have better ideas about the path they should take. As the event concluded, Eva joined her family, taking her sleeping daughter into her arms. Ready to go home? Tom asked, slipping an arm around her waist. Eva looked around at the village that had once been her prison, now transformed by her return as a beacon of possibility for other young people trapped in circumstances beyond their control. "Yes," she said, smiling up at the man who had gone from observer to partner, from being a strategic plan to her greatest supporter. "I think our work here is just beginning." In the warm golden light of afternoon, Eva walked out of Pinewood Village not as an escaping victim but as a returning champion, her small family beside her, her hard-won wisdom lighting the way forward for others who would follow in her footsteps. She had found more than escape. She had found purpose. She had found love. And most importantly, she had found herself. The end. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share with your loved ones. See you in the next video.